Coding made easy.
So what's up everybody, and welcome to your next Monogame RPG tutorial. And in this tutorial we are going to be developing what is called an image class. So in the last tutorial we were learning recapping on XML serialization. What I did, if we go to our splash screen, I made a class called image, and I made that for a reason, because we're going to be modeling our classes somewhat like that. So everything that is being displayed on our screen is going to be consisted of an image. It's going to be considered an image, and an image can, it's kind of like, I'm kind of like designing it like let's look at paint.net for example. An image can contain text, an image can contain pictures, can contain anything. So that is what I'm modeling this class off of. It's an image class that can basically contain text, images, or whatever. And with those, with certain images, you can add certain effects to images, right? You can add glowing effects, you can add certain things, right? And with this game, we're going to be able to add zoom effects to our images, add a bunch of like fading effects, a bunch of different effects. So what we're going to focus on in this tutorial is designing the image class. Oh, what did I do? Okay, so what we're going to do is, this class is going to be called the image class. Image. Okay, so the image class is going to consist of the framework. It's going to consist of content. And last but not least, we have our graphics. So we are going to have the standard classes like we always do. As I mentioned, you might get tired of seeing these classes, but they are very beneficial. We have our unload content, we have our update, and guess what goes in the parameters? Game time, like it always has been. And last but not least, we have draw, and we have our sprite batch. Okay, so we got our 4 standard methods set up. So what we're going to do is we're gonna use the XML serialization in here. System XML serialization. Okay, so just in case we have to use XML ignore or whatever. So we want to, there's a bunch of things that we have to have. We have alpha, we have text, we have font names, path for images, we have a texture 2D, and we'll call it texture. What other things do we have? We have vector to origin. And as you can see, I'm naming my public stuff with, I'm starting with uppercase and my private stuff for lowercase, just to distinguish between them better. It's really up to you what you want to do, but I'm just letting you know so you guys don't get confused. So we have our position in there. What else do we have? We have our scale. And if we're missing anything else, then we can add in those things later. So we're gonna say that what we're gonna do is, in our constructor, remember I said that the constructor gets called first. So we're gonna say path, we're gonna set all the stuff that needs to be empty, we're gonna set it to empty. So we're gonna say path equals to string empty. We're gonna give a font name. We're gonna have a default font name that's gonna be set to Orbitron for me. Whatever font you choose, whatever, you can choose that. Text will be string empty as well. That will be the default. The default position will be equal to vector to 0. Default scale will be equal to vector to 1. And the alpha will be set to 1.0, which means the image is fully showing, and that's all we're gonna have for now. So we're gonna say that if our path is not equal to string.empty, therefore we have a path to load, and we're gonna say our texture is equal to content. That's embarrassing. Content. Oh, that's what I forgot. So we have to create a content manager, and that's what we're going to be using to load everything. And because we're using a content manager, we have to actually set a value to it. So we're going to do what we did before, content service provider, and add content in parentheses. Is that right? No, that's it. No, in brackets. Yeah, that's right word. I'm sorry, it's like 5:46 a.m. So we're gonna make a call to content.load, and here we're going to load the path. And is there anything we need to do? Oh yeah, there's something else that we forgot. We forgot the source rect. Should be of a type rectangle. Okay, so if the source rect, we're gonna set it to rectangle empty. Man, can't type right now. Okay, so if source rect is equal to rectangle empty, then we're just gonna set it to the width and height of everything, but we don't have that yet. So what we're going to do is we're gonna do something really, well, I think it's pretty clever. And what we have to do is create a render target, and this render target is it's gonna serve a pretty good purpose. But before we even continue, what we want to do is we want to create a graphics device. It's gonna be a public graphics device, and we'll call it graphics device. And we also want a sprite batch. Okay, so we have a graphics device and we have a sprite batch, and we have to initialize those. So let's go to our code right here, and we're gonna make a, we're gonna say graphics device is equal to graphics device, and screen manager dot sprite batch is equal to sprite batch. Now it's important that we do this before the load content method, because the load the load content methods, some of them depend on this. So make sure you do it before that. So now what we got to do is go back to the image class, and we are going to do something pretty cool. So first, what we gotta do is set the render target to a new render target, and this is why we need the graphics device. So we need a graphics device. Our width and our height is going to be set to, oh yeah, we didn't even set a width and height yet. So what we're gonna do is let's cut this right here. So what we're gonna do is create a variable called dimensions quickly, and it's gonna be equal to vector20, and we're gonna say dimensions, we're gonna call for the x, we're gonna say if texture not equals to null, then we're gonna say dimensions.x plus equals texture.width. And then we're gonna say dimensions.x plus equals, and we don't have a font or anything yet, so we're kind of getting a bit ahead of ourselves, so that's kind of my fault. So sprite font, and we'll have a font. So we gotta say that if font name not equals to, or actually we don't have to do that stuff. We'll just say font is equal to content.load sprite font, and we'll load the font name. So if we don't change the font name, we'll just load the default font name. So what we will do is we'll say font.measure string our text. So even if our text has nothing in it, it doesn't matter. It'll just add 0 to it. So that will get the total the total width of everything. And we're gonna say that if texture not equals null, then the dimensions.y is going to be equal to math.max between the texture's height and the font's height. So whichever one is taller, that will be the total height of the image, and else the dimensions y will be equal to the font's height. Okay, so I don't even need this. Okay, so now that we've gotten that set, we can finish this off for the source rect. So it'll be set to 0, 0, int dimensions.x, int dimensions.y. So if it's set to empty, then we'll set the new width and the new height. So now we have a render target, and we have to set a width and a height for that. So we have our dimensions dot x, and we have our dimensions dot, and they have to be int. So let's cast it to an integer type, dimensions dot x, dimensions dot y. So we have that set. So now we have to set our render target as the main target. So let's say set render target, and we're gonna set a render target to that. So now, and I don't know why I put a dot there. So now now that we've set that to the default target, think of the screen as its own render target. So the screen is in itself its own render target. So we switch the render target to this now. So everything we draw is gonna go to this. It's gonna convert to that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a call to screen manager instance graphics device clear, and we're gonna clear it to a transparent color so we can draw everything on it. So now we can make a call to sprite batch.begin, and we'll make a sprite batch.end. And if you want, you don't have to make it this long, like the naming this long, but it's up to you. It's whatever. So we have our draw. So what we're gonna do is draw our texture to the render target, and we're gonna draw that vector to 0 and the color white. And then we're going to, and we have to draw only if the texture exists. So if texture not equals null, then draw it. And we're gonna draw the text. So we set the font, the text, and this is not correct. We shouldn't be drawing it at vector 2, 0. We should either be drawing it to the right or to the left of the image. But for the most part, we're not gonna have images and text on the same thing. But it's up to you how you want to do it. So now that we've gotten that set, everything is drawn to the render target now. So now all I'm just gonna do is say texture is equal to our render target, and then we're gonna say screen manager.instance.graphicsDevice.set render target null, and that's gonna send it to the default render target. So what this just did is that it drew the text and the image all together into one image, and then we set our texture into that one image. So it makes it easier to manage, and it gives us a lot of a different range to do stuff. Now in our unload content, we want to unload that stuff. In our update, we got nothing. And for our draw, we're gonna say origin is equal to new vector 2, and it's gonna be equal to our source rect width divided by 2 and our source rect height divided by 2. So we just want to take the center point of our image, whatever, if it's cropped out or anything, and then we're going to draw that texture to the screen. We're going to draw it at a certain position, have our source rect, color white times alpha, so it will give us a transparency where we need it. The rotation is always going to be 0 in this case. We have the origin, we have the scale, spread effects, and last but not least, the depth. Now what we're going to want to do is add the origin to the position so that we get it an accurate position on the screen. So what this is going to do is that the origin is this. I'm mainly doing this for when we have a zoom effect, so it will zoom in very accurately. So this is gonna make it so that we are gonna draw to the original position that we actually set it at, but our origin position when we do everything from is from the center. Okay, so now that we've gotten that set, we've pretty much got the image class done. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our splash screen class, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna say image. So we can get rid of this right here, and we're gonna make a call to image.loadContent, image.unloadContent. And I'm pretty sure you're tired of me saying this right now, but too bad. Suck it up, princess. Anyways, so we've got that, and last but not certainly not least, sorry, we've got the draw. So with that being said, let us go and add some stuff to the splash screen class. So now we have the image, we pass in the path. I'm gonna cut this and I'm gonna place this in here, and everything else should remain the same. So let's run this. Hopefully there's no errors, but there is an error. So it says the typer namespace could not be found. Is it not a... Okay. Is it doing this stupid thing again? Hold on one second. Okay, so I solved that error. If you guys get anything like that, I just set my startup object to YouTube program before it was put to set to not set. I don't know why my code is doing that, like why my XNA project is doing that. Never really happened to me before. But anyways, before we run this, we have to actually get a font. Now I'm going to put this in a folder called fonts. So let's add a new folder called fonts. Add in whatever font name you have in there. So a new sprite font, call it Orbitron, and in here change to Orbitron. So let's run this. So voila, we get the exact same thing as we've had before, nothing special, but we finally got it under a class, and it's more efficient this way. So now let's try some cool things while we're at it. So let's just change the alpha to 0.5. So let's see, it should show it kind of faded out. So as you can see, it's kind of faded. So now let's just get rid of this, and let's set the scale. Let's say in the X by 2.0, and same with the Y. So let's run this, and voila, it's zoomed in. So there you go. So with the image class, it does everything. It handles all the images for us, and it's gonna make our lives so much easier in the near future. So I'm ending this tutorial here. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and bye for now.